Okay, so I don't know what it is about the fact that it really irritates me that I can't find that little like plug charger thing that goes into the wall whenever I'm trying to charge my phone. And it's like we have a million of them in my house and they always disappear. Like my kids take them and like throw them at each other or something. Like I don't even know where they go. I have no idea. So now whenever I renovate an RV or a horse trailer, I upgrade the outlets to the USB outlets. It's such like a simple upgrade and it makes the world of a difference to me. And I think the convenience factor is like 10 out of 10 for my clients too. I love these. I have them in my house. It's on my to-do list to put them in my camper, which is what I'm in right now. But you know, it's not like I don't have anything else to do. Anyway, super simple to do as long as you have the right supplies. So let me go ahead and get started and show you guys what you'll need.
So first off, we'll need a really long flathead screwdriver. You'll also need a Phillips head screwdriver, a drill, some wire strippers, a multi-tool would be really good to have. Obviously the USB outlet right there in the middle. I'll talk about the boxes here in a little bit, the different boxes you'll use. You'll also need a knife, and then I have some screws up there, and then a drill bit, and I'll get to their uses in just a So let's go ahead and talk about the boxes just for a minute. The ones on the left right there you see I'm going to be using for this video, and the one on the right is the one that I typically use for campers. Now 9 out of 10 times you're going to be able to use the box on the right hand side. Now this time I could not because I'm actually working on a horse trailer and the walls on the horse trailer are not thick enough to have that box sit inside the wall. Now both of these boxes are shallow boxes. They're just kind of a different style. But if you have a RV or a camper, any type, or if you're doing a horse trailer conversion build yourself, the box on the right hand side will work as long as you have the right amount of depth in your wall. So just double check before you buy the boxes by measuring the thickness and the depth of your wall and just buy the correct box accordingly. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. First things first, go ahead and make sure that your camper is unplugged from shore power so you don't get electrocuted. And then you can unscrew the outlet from the wall and it just kind of pops out like that. All right, next we're going to take the wires out of the back. So flip the outlet over and get your big screwdriver and use it to kind of pop those tabs up. Do it each on both sides and then that whole thing should just kind of pop out and expose your wires. Next, get your big screwdriver again, and then you're basically just going to stick the big screwdriver in and pry the wires out of the outlet itself. It works a whole lot better if you start at the top, just like I'm doing here, and just pry them out one at a time versus trying to get all of the wires out at the same time. Now, if you notice on my ground right there in the middle, I got a little bit of the ground from the outlet stuck in the wire, and that's okay because I can always just pull that off later. You may also have one wire or you may have two wires just like I have here. Either one is totally fine. Okay, next step is to go ahead and make this hole a little bit bigger to fit your new box. So I just went ahead and stuck these wires in the wall. As long as they're still reachable, it's totally fine. And then I took my box and set it up against the wall and lined it up with two edges of the existing hole and then just kind of traced out a line on the other two sides. I knew this was going to be straight because my other outlet was sitting straight on the wall, so that's why I did this vantage point for this outlet. Next, go ahead and grab your multi-tool and cut out the pencil marks that you just did. If you see, I have my hands kind of in the back of the wall right there holding the wire. Just make sure that you don't push your multi-tool all the way through and accidentally snip a part of your wire. Okay, so let's talk about these boxes for just a second. So this particular box, I actually drilled another hole that you saw right there because I have two wires and there was only one hole. And the direction just wouldn't let me put that wire from the bottom. So I just drilled another hole there. But most of the times with those shallow boxes, especially with the blue kind, you will have two ports coming into the top where you can put two wires in. All right, so obviously you feed your wires in and you make sure your box fits nice and snug in that hole. Then you can go ahead and put your screws in. I just used some small screws I had around the shop. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws that'll go in, and then your box is pretty much set in place. So next, go ahead and trim up that wire. We're just going to cut all of this to make sure that we have fresh wire that's not all dinged up when we go to put in our new outlets. Next, you get that box knife and you're just going to go ahead and open up some more of that wire right there. That way you have some more room to work with. You basically just kind of shave off the casing right there, peel it back. And in this case, I can actually have a little bit more room coming out from the wall. So I'll take as much as I can and then separate your wires just like that and do the same thing on the other side. Now, after you've got a good bit of wire to work with, go ahead and strip the ends a little bit. If you actually look on your USB outlet, most of them will tell you how much you need to strip the ends of your wires. So go ahead and check that out too before you start stripping to make sure you have enough or to make sure you don't strip too much wire. Next, go ahead and get that extension ring and slide it over, and then we can start to put on our outlet right here. Now it's kind of hard to tell, but one side is going to say neutral, which is going to be your white wire. One side is going to say hot, which is your black. And then on the bottom, the green screw is going to be your ground. So just go ahead and start connecting your white and your white. They pretty much just slide into the little channels that's right there. And then there is a screw on the other side with a Phillips head that you will hand tighten. Don't use your drill on this. Always hand tighten these outlets because you don't want to break the inside. Next, you're going to do the same thing with the black or the hot wires. Just stick it in the outlet, and you'll do that for both sides, 1 and 2. And then you'll do the same thing. You'll tighten that screw right there with a Phillips head screwdriver and just snug it down pretty good. You don't need to over tighten it. Definitely don't under tighten it either. Now for the ground, I actually have 2 grounds right here and they don't really fit well on the one screw that's up at the top. And so I like to twist 2 ground wires together. And this is fine as long as you make sure that it is twisted very well. I get my pliers and I get the top part of it and kind of twist it really well. That way it's all kind of mangled in there. This is really, they actually have special tools for this, but I don't have that tool. So this is just the way that I've always done it. Just make sure you don't slip and go too far and cut your ground because that wouldn't be good. So same thing with the ground. You just take the ground and you slide it in the channel and then you can go ahead and tighten that green screw that's right there. Now next, you're going to flip your outlet over because your ground is actually on the bottom, so it's upside down when you put your ground in. Then reposition your wires and kind of push it back a little bit so it sits snug. Next, go ahead and take out the original screws that are in the USB outlet. You won't need those anymore because we have this extension collar, which also comes with new longer screws. So go ahead and grab those longer screws, put them in the same hole, and then there's actually a hole in this extension collar where it feeds through, and then there's another hole that it lines up with in the actual box itself. Now if you see my fingers just kind of tuck the wires in the back right there, I just want to make sure that when I put this screw all the way in, that it doesn't pinch any wires while it's pulling itself in. And then basically just do the same thing for the bottom. I did not tighten the top all of the way just so I could stick that screw all the way through and make sure that I was actually in the hole in the box that's inside the wall. Just makes life a little bit easier to line it up. And then after that, you can fully tighten both screws. Last but not least, put your faceplate on and tighten it with a flathead screwdriver, and that's it. Enjoy your new outlets. Hope y'all enjoyed it and like and subscribe for more.